the most happy fella in old Napa Valley. Well, it's a show, Broadway show. Swung on and driven to deep right. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Oh, that is a Stantonian home run to deep right center. Giancarlo no si può Barlow. Let the Gardy party begin. Brett Gardner plants one in the right field seats. It's an A-bomb from A-Rod. For Robbie Cano, don't you know? He sends a text message. Oh, you're on the mark to Sheriff. El Capitan. Nick Swisher is absolutely swishalicious. It is Glaber Day. Oh, like a good Glaber. Torres is there. A Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Well, the Yankees announced today that John Sterling has called his final game as a Yankee broadcaster. He's been the radio voice of the Yankees since 1989, called 5,420 regular season games, 211 postseason games, had a consecutive game streak of 5,060. 2016 inducted into the New York State Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and a 12-time Emmy Award winner as the host of Yankeeography here on Yes. And I'm still kind of stunned.
I was saddened, just, what John's meant to, Yankee baseball, all around the country, and, to the broadcasting. It's tough to put into words, because my parents, they listen to the radio. They, love Susan and John going back and forth, even going back and listening to some historic homers or, big moments in Yankees history. And, hearing John there, that's, he's going to be missed. He's going to be missed.
What was your reaction the first time you heard a replay of him calling one of your home runs?
He was so witty, smart, just the home run calls he comes up with. We'll be sitting on the bus whenever we trade for somebody new or, somebody's first game. We always kind of go back and forth. Like, hey, what's John going to come up with this time? What's he going to use? And you go, the last name, the first name, how's he going to do this? And, he always outsmarts us and comes up with something great that, the fans love. We love as players listening to it. So, John's a big part of this family. We're going to miss him.
About one of our colleagues, John Sterling.
At about 4:50 this afternoon, Bob, the Yankees sent out a press release that John Sterling is retiring. He has called his last Yankees game. He has called a total of 5,420 regular season Yankees games, 211. And Michael, I know you spoke with him this weekend, but still a little bit of a shock to hear the news.
It was a shock when I got the phone call on Saturday. He left me a message, and I called him back, and he said, Michael, I just want you to know I've called my last game. And I said, why? Yeah, now, he's been feeling under the weather. That's why he missed the last series in New York. I said, why don't you just wait until you feel better and then make your decision? He goes, no, it has nothing to do with the fact I'm feeling under the weather. It's just time. I'm tired. I don't like having to go to the ballpark. I love calling the games, but going to the ballpark and going home, I just like being in my apartment. I like watching the games on TV. And he said that it was time. And then he reminded me, Michael, on July 4th, I'm going to be 86. So he said all good things come to an end. And it's kind of a sad day because he's part of the Yankee firmament.
His voice is certainly going to be missed. The Yankees are going to honor him on Saturday. And, Michael, I'll ask you the same thing I asked Susan Waldman on the BP show. What do you think the crowd reaction is going to be like for John Sterling on Saturday?
I think it'll be over the top great. They love him. He might not have at times been a critical darling, but to be honest, Yankee fans loved him. I've been out with him. People come up to him all the time. They do all of his home run calls. He is beloved by the Yankee faithful, and I think he's going to get a huge ovation, as he should. 36 years in the booth is a long time, and until a couple years ago, he never missed an inning, so I think he's going to get a lot of love.
Now, you worked with him in the radio broadcast booth for the first time in 1992. What were some of your first impressions of John Sterling?
It was, it was a wild ride because, John always said, there's nothing that you can't say on the air. I'll follow you. There's nothing that I can't say that should throw you. He had been other partners that said, I don't like when you don't talk about anything other than baseball. But John is was like entertaining while he's doing the game as well. So you always had to be on your toes, and I think that helped me a lot. That was many years ago, and a lot of hair ago as well. But,
there it is. A lot of good times too, I'm sure, Michael, both on the field and off the field with John Sterling.
I love the guy. He was great to me. He's always been great to me, and that's why it was an emotional phone call that we had on Saturday, because if you listen to him, Meredith, he doesn't sound like he's 85. He has defied Father Time when it comes to his voice, and he's just amazing. He still sounds sharp. If you listen to the last game he did, the Grand Slam by Giancarlo Stanton, still right there, has a great rhythm. He's a great broadcaster, so I tried to talk him out of it, as I said, but he would have none of it.
It is remarkable. As soon as that first pitch is thrown, he is dialed in and he is on it. You mentioned the home run calls. Do you have a favorite home run call of his over the years?
Well, probably the first one, because I was sitting there next to him in the radio booth, and Bernie Williams hit a big home run, and all of a sudden he goes, "Burn, baby, burn!" And I looked at him, and then, you know, people started like shouting that back at him, and Bernie liked it as well. And the fact that people started shouting it back, it became a cottage industry. He signed baseballs with different calls on it, so that's probably my favorite because it was the first.
Aaron Boone said he would go back and listen to the calls because he'd always want to know what John Sterling would say when they got a new player and they had a big moment. Would you also go back and listen to some of the calls?
Well, it's funny because in the last couple of years with the advent of social media, the minute there was a new player and they hit a home run, it was on social media exactly what he said. So when I would drive home from the ballpark, I would listen to the postgame show on the radio, and I would hear obviously all the replays, so I'd get to hear it then.
What should the people at home know about John as a broadcaster that they may not know?
You know, a lot of people look at him, and one of the criticisms that people have, he's a homer. Well, I'd like to know anybody that works for a team that doesn't want to see the team win. He was highly critical of the Yankees when they didn't play well, when the manager made moves that he didn't like, and I would suggest, Meredith, that if you go back and if you do this on YouTube and you listen to the ninth inning, the bottom of the ninth inning, Game 7 in 2001, when Luis Gonzalez got that hit for the Diamondbacks. That was called the way you would call it if you were a national broadcaster. The same excitement, the same enthusiasm. So yes, he desperately wanted the Yankees to win, but he would call a game right down the middle. He wasn't one of these broadcasters that would be, you know, just not giving any kind of a good call to a home run for another team. So I just think he's an extraordinary broadcaster, great voice, great rhythm, and once the game started, he was on.
What are you going to miss most about seeing him on a daily basis in that radio booth?
Just his quirkiness and things he would say, and you know, he would come into the television booth at Yankee Stadium all the time, and just before we were, you know, going to tape the open, and he'd go, "How you doing, my boy?" And I'll just miss seeing him every day. But we were, you know, one of the last things that we said to each other on Saturday, you know, we're going to continue to talk all the time, John. And I said, "John, we'll talk forever."
I said to somebody a short while ago, it wasn't opening day. It did not feel like baseball season was starting until John Sterling walked into our booth and said hello to everybody, and you heard that booming voice again. It's going to be odd not hearing that voice on a daily basis.
And Jack, we've known John a long time as well. Michael mentioned it, and imitation is considered the sincerest form of flattery, and for people to walk up to John and have his calls or use his voice, it's meant in a loving way. As Michael said, he is 100% one of a kind.
He was unique, he was distinctive, and I think about all the people who walk into the Yankee Stadium press box or broadcast booth, and for many of those people, Bob, it's a job. They're going to be there for the next amount of hours, and they're doing their job. For John Sterling, that was his passion, and he lived to be in that broadcast booth and to describe the Yankee action. And he got a lot of attention for the nicknames, which everyone talked about. He deserves a lot of attention for that voice. We all wish we had that voice. And then, of course, the Yankees win at the end of games. But if you listen to John broadcast a game right until the end, his deep knowledge and understanding of baseball and his descriptive qualities in telling you what was going on. He's 85. He might as well have been 25. He still had that passion to be the best at it. And I also have to add on a personal note, I started covering the Yankees as a New York Times beat writer in 1991. John was always kind to me, and one of the things I remember was when John Sterling would walk up to me and say, "I really like that article you wrote." And as someone who was just starting out covering the team, to get that blessing from John, that meant a lot.
Yeah, well, John, from Jack, myself, everybody at Yes, we are grateful and we are thankful to call you a colleague and a friend, and we wish you well in retirement.
No, Ron and Keith join me in passing along nothing but our best wishes to our friend John Sterling, who announced his retirement today. After 36 years in the Yankees booth and then countless other assignments before that, John was a unique voice of baseball and an entertainment act all unto himself.
I mean, greatest chops. I mean, his voice was just so great to listen to. Over 5,000 regular season games for the Yankees, over 200 postseason games, but more importantly, how he would make you feel whenever we had to go over to Yankee Stadium and do the games was always met with a visit with John and just hanging out and hearing all the things that he would be thinking about.
Emo pops one up on the right side, and Triola will play it.
And I'll just add, he's a consummate gentleman, just a wonderful man. Like Ronnie said, always a smile on his face, always a hello, how you doing? And we'll miss you.
You know, I go back to hearing John doing his talk show on WMCA back in the 70s before he got involved in doing play-by-play. The first play-by-play I ever heard him do was hockey. He did the New York Raiders and the WHA. And every time the Raiders would score a goal, he'd scream, "Raider goal! Raider goal!" And then he later did the Islanders, and that became Islander goal. But when he worked for the Raiders, his color man was Fritz Peterson, who just passed away, the old Yankee left-hander. Right. And John would sometimes lose his voice by the end of the second period, and Fritz would end up doing play-by-play in the third. And then, you know, he was doing Atlanta TV, the 19-inning game, and had the great call of the Rick Camp home run. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah, before Camp hit the home run, he said this is officially the craziest game if Rick Camp ever was able to hit this ball out of the ballpark.
And then he did, and he officially announced it the craziest, wackiest, nuttiest game in the history of baseball. He did the Nets when they had Bernard King.
Really?
Who he referred to as Bernard, Sky, B.B. King.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did. It's one of a kind, and we love him.
I have a statement to read. Ah, man. Breaks my heart. I will miss him. We all will miss him. But here's a statement from the New York Yankees. Legendary Yankee voice John Sterling to retire. His unprecedented tenure to be recognized on Saturday, April 20th at Yankee Stadium. So here's the official word. The New York Yankees today announced that legendary Yankees play-by-play radio voice John Sterling, who is called, get this, 5,420 regular season games.
Wow.
And 211 postseason games, is retiring effective immediately. He will be recognized in a pregame ceremony on Saturday, April 20th, and will visit the WFAN booth during the game. Additionally, he'll be made available to the media in the Yankee Stadium press conference room prior to the 1:05 p.m. matchup versus Tampa Bay. Statement from the Yankees. Fans find a certain comfort in the daily rhythms of baseball. Day in and day out, season after season, the city after city, John Sterling used his seat in the broadcast booth to bring Yankee fans the heartbeat of the game, employing an orotund voice. Is that what it means? Orotund? Orotund voice and colorful personality that were distinctively, unmistakably his own. John informed and entertained, and he exemplified what it meant to be a New Yorker with an unapologetic and boisterous style that exuded his passion for baseball, broadcasting, and the New York Yankees. That is so beautifully well written because it's so freaking true, man.
Right. He also went on to say, and we're going to have him here in a second, this is his statement, and you'll hear the voice of John Sterling in just a second. I am a very blessed human being. I've been able to do what I wanted, broadcast for 64 years. Wow, that's a blessing. As a little boy growing up in New York as a Yankee fan, I was able to broadcast the Yankees for 36 years. It's all to my benefit, and I leave very, very happy. I look forward to seeing everyone again on Saturday.
Well, here he is. Forever, from my generation, for many generations, there will only be one. The voice of the New York Yankees, the great John Sterling. John, congratulations. How are you?
Well, fellas, thank you. You brought me to tears.
You're bringing a lot of people to tears, man. We love you. You're a legend, man.
Well, anyway, thank you. I guess if I was smarter, and I'm not, if I was smarter, I would have done this, March 1st or March 31st. During the winter, the Yankees, as you know, didn't make the playoffs. And so we were free on, October 3rd. And October, November, December, January, February, March, I lived my life as happy as I've lived it, including listening to you guys all the time and watching all the games. I'm the greatest sports fan in history, and I got TVs all over the joint. And I should have stopped then. Anyway, I just don't want to do any more work. I've worked for 64 years. And in July, I'll be 86. So, let's face it, my time has come.
Was it a hard decision for you when you ultimately made it? I know you haven't called the last couple of games, and Justin Shackle and Emmanuel Barbari have been filling in with Susan. Was it hard for you to make this decision, John?
No, not really. In fact, it wasn't hard at all. It's something I've wanted for a long time. I want to run my life. I live in Edgewater, and in a terrific place that I love dearly, a big place. And I know the life I want to lead. I just lived it from October till the end of March. And anyway, no, it was not a hard decision, and I can't wait for it to finally happen. As I've told my family, I've got 4 kids who are grown, and my friends, I've said, well, now we can have dinner anytime. So that's how I feel. And one more thing, I don't have to tell you what a terrific guy Chris Olivero is. After all these years,
he's all right.
Yeah, I have a boss that's so intelligent and well-meaning, and I guess I could just do the home games. But you know what's true, fellas? I don't want to get up in the afternoon and have to go somewhere. In fact, I'd much rather listen to you guys and then listen to the game and watch. I can watch 800 games here. So, in fact, that's my plan. I'm going to watch and listen to 162 Yankee games, Mets games, all the games on Turner and ESPN, all the games on MLB. So
in listening to you over the years, I learned that Susan taught you how to do that, Dad. She would teach you how to get the MLB package and see all these games, and now you could put it to good use and watch everything all day long, John.
Well, I don't want to destroy the story. Susan can't teach me anything because I don't have the equipment. I have regular TVs, but believe me, I'm very good at DVR. And, a master of DVR. Anyway, I will be very happy in my retirement.
Well, I'm glad, you said earlier you could have done this on March 1st. I'm glad you didn't selfishly, and I'll tell you why Yankee fans are glad, because who knows where this season's going. They could win it all. The Yankees look pretty good. And the fact that you were a part of this season, calling a Juan Soto home run, and just especially that first series in Houston, in Arizona, your voice, we were talking about this on the air, your Yankees win call after the finale against the Diamondbacks felt playoff-like. It felt big. So I'm glad, and I know Yankee fans are glad that your voice was a part of what could very well be a very special season for the New York Yankees.
I happen to agree with you. I think this really could be a special season. The change in Anthony Volpe is just unbelievable. And we were so worried going in about the pitching of Rodon and Cortez and Schmidt, and they're all pitching well. Now, it's a long, long season, but we're going to get Garrett Cole back, and we'll see.
So you will be at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. Everybody going to Yankee Stadium will get a chance to give you what you deserve, which is a standing ovation and a farewell, and you deserve that. And I'm glad you're going to have that on Saturday. And anytime you want to talk Yankee baseball, you call us. We'll pop you on anytime you want, man.
Well, I'd love that. Now, you guys should know, excuse me for a moment, you guys should know, the talk show you're doing?
Yep.
I understand what you're doing perfectly. I landed the talk show at MCA. First of all, you guys weren't born in April of '72, and I had a talk show in Baltimore, but that was World War III. That was general. But the sports talk show is such a great believer in that. part of the media. Anyway, you guys do a great job. Please keep it up, and anytime you want me, just give a call.
Well, congratulations, man. You had a tremendous career, a great career. I was saying this on the air earlier. From my age demographic, you are the voice of the year, the only voice of the Yankees, and you will be sorely missed. But congratulations, man. You deserve that time with your family, and we're all going to miss you, John.
Well, thank you so much, and be well and do well, okay?
Most certainly. Congratulations,
Thank you.
John.
The great, the legendary John Sterling, as he has announced that his brilliant career is coming to its conclusion. Beautiful statement by the Yankees. You want to hear the statement from us, WFAN? Let's rate how WFAN did with their statement. Yankees radio will never quite sound the same without the signature voice, wit, and humor of John Sterling. To generations of Bronx Bombers fans, he was a beloved companion that when you heard John, you knew it was time for baseball. Though he never wore the pinstripes, except, of course, for his fine tailored suits. He was one of the most colorful personalities in Yankee history and all of New York City radio. All of us at WFAN tip our cap and salute our colleague and friend on a truly iconic career. Beautiful statement. So true. We will miss the great John Sterling.
Yeah, you know when you come across somebody who does whatever they do and you just know that they're the best at what they do? Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like with John. Like, you don't necessarily appreciate it until you know you're not going to see it anymore. And I always wonder, like, how great it is to be the best at what you do and not even realize it. Like, I don't think he's cocky in that regard. I don't think he considers himself to be as great as he actually is. And it's not because he's, perfect with everything.
No.
It's because you feel like you want to sit right next to him and listen to him. Right? I mean, he's just talking, just this little anecdote that he just gave when he first had his first talk show, talking about during the war year. Can you imagine just sitting down having a conversation with him about baseball during the war?
Yeah.
Right? Things like that are just, that's just pretty amazing.
John has seen it all, so congratulations to him if you're going out to the ballpark on Saturday. They're also giving away the Aaron Judge bobblehead on Saturday as well. So that'll be a very, very cool day if you're going to Yankee Stadium. You get the bobblehead, and you get to honor the great John Sterling. We'll get back to your calls, I promise. A lot of people want to debate